That's the first time we've ever had to restart. Yeah, you got me all nervous, Lloyd.
Let's not give it loud for Anthony Video. We're gonna have a guest calling. Very funny. Wayne Russell, everybody.
Welcome to the Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne podcast.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne. Today, we are joined by one of the most beloved men in the Boston comedy scene, Mr. Lloyd Legacy Sharp. How are you today, Lloyd?
I'm alive. I don't regret it. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Before we forget about him, we're also joined by one of the least beloved people in the Boston comedy scene. My co-host and very best friend, Anthony. Anthony, how are you?
That was awesome. So a lot of the times he comes in to try to burn because that's what I normally do to him, and it falls flat because he's a stupid asshole. But that was a really good one. Oh man,
I've been working on that. I've been working on that since we set a date.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm really pumped about this one because I don't think there's another person that we've gone to more mics and then been like, "Have you met Lloyd yet?" He's like the nicest guy in comedy, and normally people will say that and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, like you guys know Jacques Lambert? He's super nice and kind of a huge fucking dickhead," but they never say that second part about you. Always say only good things. So how you doing?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, thank you to you guys and everybody who's apparently saying nice things. I'm dealing with a little bit of sensory overload. I'll be honest. Listen, I'm doing great. Life's wonderful. The world is great. No, I'm sensory overload at the moment. There's a lot of things I'm juggling currently. Most of them professionally. Some of them personal, but not bad. Just things to keep track of. But so the bandwidth is kind of just like stretched, and but I've had worse problems. So as far as how I'm doing, that's the honest answer rather than the cliche. Oh, I'm great, guys.
I love that.
Because I'm not bad, but it's just candle both ends burning. But again,
yeah. Well, every time I don't have Facebook, but Wayne sends me like screenshots of Facebook, and then I log on to the page New England open mic comedy that you run, which is the one that got me to my first open mic. Yes. Think about that. Think about how like if you're an open mic, I want to ask you a question, but I'm going to keep waxing poetically. If you are an open micer in New England, you are impacted by Lloyd. Like he has done something for you to get to you. Like if he hasn't, then you're fucking doing the same mic every week somewhere in Western Massachusetts that he doesn't know about yet. But he'll find you. He will fucking repost that shit. Wayne, what do you got for questions? You got some good ones, right?
Yeah. So we were talking just a little bit before we were recording. My first time really discovering you was on Jacques Lambert's podcast, Carnival Personnel. So I've heard about a little bit about your beginnings. I don't know if Anthony has. So my first question for you is, can you maybe go over your first time on stage as a comic and how you got to that point and what you thought?
Yeah, everybody's always surprised at how I started because very unconventional. Most people, when they're gonna do comedy or they're gonna start comedy, you don't know what you're doing your first night, but you know what you're going there to do. You know, I'm going to try to do stand-up comedy. This is what I want to do. My goal is to get on stage to do this and see what happens. When I first went into an open mic, I had no intention of doing stand-up comedy. I was there to support my friend Jay DeMille, who's also a comedian and one of the best in my opinion, best in the country, in my opinion, but definitely best in New England. By the way, if you're listening and you're a booker and you haven't booked Jay DeMille, book them. I met them before I started doing comedy. We were just hanging out, for a few weeks at that point, and they were like, "Oh, I'm going to go to the Winter Circle in Salisbury, Massachusetts. I'm going to do comedy." I'm like, "Oh, cool! I'll come watch." Because at this point, I have no idea what a local comedy scene was. I'm a black guy in New Hampshire hanging out. What do I know about a comedy scene? I don't live in New Hampshire, or else I wouldn't be here. But I was there at the time. So I go to the Winter Circle. I'm there to watch Jay DeMille. I saw some other people there too that were very funny. I think I first saw Midday Radigan that night, obviously, for the first time. Josh Day, Big Bob Glancy, among others. And I just enjoying the show. This is cool. Live comedy in person. And at the end of it, Dave Radigan comes up. It was a combination of Dave Radigan and Josh Day. Between the two of them, I wasn't there. It happened behind me. I wasn't privy for that conversation. But between the two of them, Dave Radigan came up to me and said, "You got a lot of energy, kid. You want to give this a try?" I'm like, "No, I'm just here to watch Jada Mew. I don't even know what this is. Don't want to do it. I'm just here to watch Jada. Are you sure you don't want to give this a try? Because you got a lot. You're very supportive. You got a lot of energy. I'm just here to watch Jay, Dave. I'm good. Well, we signed you up. You're up next week. What?" That's how I get a million.
I love that story because it's very similar to me, except it wasn't somebody like a Dave Radigan, somebody that's been doing it a while, talented, whatever. It was Anthony. Anthony went up on a Sunday, and he ended up dragging me along on a Thursday for my first time. So very similar. So
Nice.
Next, I'll be throwing on the glove and doing some karaoke, which I want to touch on later.
That was a great act out there, Lloyd. I gotta get you. If we've been throwing around the idea of trying to film a sketch comedy thing, and your audition tape that I just accepted it. If you ever want to come in, you're in. That was really good.
Oh man, honestly, if that's something you guys are thinking about doing, I'm always down to do other things. So yeah, if you think I'd be useful, hit me up.
Yeah, definitely. We're throwing it around. We're putting ideas in a shared folder with another guy. Yeah, we'll definitely hit you up if that ever comes to fruition, for sure.
Hey.
So mentioning the glove and all that, you also do a tribute to Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I've somehow even less believable than the fact that I'm still a comedian all these years later. In 2017, and that kind of ties in because I started comedy in 2016, didn't get my first book show until 2018, which is why I always tell people, stop putting a time limit on yourself and stop expecting something. Sometimes you gotta work for it. And obviously now I'm doing fine now when it comes to getting shows, but it's like, if I had given myself a time window, it's like, if I don't get a Netflix special in a year, I quit. I wouldn't be here. But anyway.
Yeah.
So before I ever got my first book show, I became a Michael Jackson tribute artist, karaoke attraction act in 2017, which was even more of a bamboozle than the comedy thing was, because I've been doing that style of dance since I was very young. Like 1994, I started dancing on the street in Dorchester, because if I did that in the house, the landlord would get mad, and the landlord was my grandmother at the time, so I didn't want to make her mad. So I just danced. I've been doing that style of dancing for a long, long time, and I became an inadvertent street performer in the late 90s because I didn't want to dance in the house in Roxbury, because I lived in Roxbury in the late 90s, so I went outside and danced. People would pull up, and people pulling up on a black guy with a car in the late 90s was a little bit, nah. But they would be like, no, just keep doing what you're doing, and then I spin, kick, dance, and whatever, and they pull out $5, $10. And then drive off, and that happened from late 98 to mid 99. So I have experience with that, but I never really aspired to be what I've become. And then one day in 2017, I'm at Charlie's Tap House in Hampton Beach, New Hampshire, and I'm doing a Michael Jackson song, but I started just doing a random dance in the middle of it, and the owner of the place at the time saw me doing that and was like, that kid's got something. He can. You see how the crowd reacted. And there's actually a video of this moment online too. We're like, this kid's got something. We should get him to lean into that. So for the next few months, they're like, Lloyd, you're really good at you're performing. You don't just stand there and read the words. You actually perform. You should lean in. I'm like, don't exalt me. I just come here and do karaoke like everybody else. Don't make me a thing. Don't do that. So there's 2 or 3 months of that. October 2017, the head DJ and the head bartender, which I later found out was a conspiracy by design, but I didn't notice at the time. The head DJ was like, "Hey, Lloyd, we want you to participate in the Halloween costume contest." I'm like, "Really, Ben?" His name was Ben. "Really, Ben? What costume? Well, we got a hat and a glove." "Ben! I told you about it." "No, Lloyd, we just want you to participate in the costume contest." "Are you sure that's all you want me to do?" Because I've been talking to Corey about, "No, Lloyd, that's all we want you to do." I'm like, you know what? Okay, if that's really all they want from me, I'm fine. Give me the Give me the soldier, give me the freaking Sergeant Pepper jacket and the hair. I'll do the thing. And I go October 28th, 2017. I do it for the first time. Technically, it was an inadvertent dress rehearsal 7 days prior, but that was an accident. We don't count that. So I do the Halloween costume rehearsal, Halloween costume contest, and place goes insane because I'm doing the whole routine in the getup. And I said to Ben before the whole thing started, I'm like, this is not gonna last. This is not gonna last a week. Okay, this whole thing is gonna be dead on. If you're trying to make me a thing, it's not gonna last. This is gonna be dead on arrival. It's not gonna be. It's not going to. It's a contest. This is gonna go beyond tonight. Obviously, I was wrong because I did it that night, and I show up there like a couple of days later, and people are like, "Where's Michael? Where's Michael? Why would you have the Michael?" So I'm like, "What? That was one time." And after about a week and a half of trying to get away from it, people will just say, "Where's Michael? Where's Michael?" So I leaned into it eventually. Tried to get away from it again around the time where the whole thing came out, and that wasn't enough either. They were like, "Where's Michael? Why aren't you bringing?" Because I don't want to bring bad publicity. Whether you agree with it, whether you don't, I don't want to bring bad publicity to the business. They're like, "No, where's Michael? Bring back. Where's the glove? Where's the hat?" I'm like, "Oh my God, not even that." Okay, fine. And then I did it at Midway of the Highway in 2021, and the karaoke page runner saw that, and I made a joke. I said, "Well, this would be a great place for Michael Legacy Jackson." And Queeryoki said, "Yeah, you should." And that's how that became a thing, and here we are today. I can't win. I can't not be a thing, no matter how much I try not to be a thing. I don't want to be a comedian. I don't want to be a tribute act. No, I'm both.
I'm really impressed by the body confidence that you'd have to dance like Michael Jackson. I'd be afraid of blowing my knee out because I worry so much about getting older and blowing my body out because I ate Chipotle like 2 weeks ago and I blew my asshole out, which I didn't even think was possible. And now I have to think about every time I'm gonna get any kind of food that's not like a little spicy. I have to weigh the pros and cons of that. And if I tried to like fucking pop my knee like Michael Jackson, I'd blow it all over the floor. It would the first performance, and you're doing that shit like Michael, right?
Mm-hmm.
God damn.
And that's the thing. Like I always tell people, like people who know me for a long time know that it's not new. Like if I hadn't been doing that for like almost 30 years, I would not be good at it, let alone still be able to do it at my current. Because I've had back injuries, I've had other injuries. So like if it wasn't a thing that I've always done, I probably wouldn't be any good at it. But people will see it for the first time, and they're like, "Oh my God, how do you learn how to sing and dance at the same time like that?" I'm like, I've been practiced since 1994. Which if you haven't done that yet, which you can't do that now because 1994 is kind of not a thing anymore. So if you haven't been doing it since then, you're not going to be as good as I am, or as good as you think I am. But to answer the question, yeah, that's how I did it. If I just started yesterday, I would fall easily.
Well, what are you doing more? Are you doing more comedy or more Michael Legacy Jackson, or is it like an equal?
I'm definitely doing more comedy because karaoke only falls on certain nights in certain places, and I obviously can only, like, I live in Boston, I live in the South End, so I'm not going to New Hampshire. Like, Charlie's Tap House is karaoke every single night, but I'm not going to New Hampshire every single night just to do karaoke. I usually go up there because I have a lot of friends in and around New Hampshire, and we're all adults. We all have things to do, which sucks. Tommy Pickles is right. And the only time that we really can kind of get together and all see each other on a date, okay, we all make sure we're gonna convene here. You know, we don't get to go to each other's houses very much anymore. We don't get to do this and that like we could when we were younger adults. But if we want all to get together, we can all converge here. So usually when I go up there, it's usually in an attempt to hang out with all of them because that's the only time we really can. And that's maybe Charlie's Tap House maybe once or twice a month. More frequently, karaoke at Midway Cafe. That's more often. It always depends. That's why I'm almost never home on Thursday because either I'm on a show or I'm doing that. It's usually one of the two. But I'm definitely doing more comedy than that because aside from that and karaoke, I don't do. And Michael Legacy Jackson as an attraction act, it's fun, but it doesn't work everywhere. Like it wouldn't work at Wild Rover. It wouldn't work because the stage is very narrow. It wouldn't work at certain places where you can't like do the thing, which is fine actually, because I used to be known for doing like The Doors and Elvis Presley before Michael Jackson. Not the dancing, but like I used to be known for being able to really sing that style before Michael Jackson became a thing. Now I just integrate the two, and I did a Michael Jackson routine while doing Allentown with Billy Joel like 2 weeks ago. But
that's awesome.
More comedy because that comes along more often.
Wow.
Have you ever thought of combining the two? Like, this is the perfect time of year. You should do like a 5-minute set of like all Michael Jackson jokes, and do it as Michael Legacy Jackson. Have you ever thought of that?
I mean, people have mentioned that, and like Halloween. Like, I'm doing a show in Drake on the 26th where costumes are encouraged, and I'm thinking of putting something together with it for the season. But the thing is, like, for people who know me, and for people who see me in the getup, they're going to expect the routine, the singing, dancing, which isn't stand-up comedy. So, like, I'm not saying combining it is impossible, but like, given the structure of how most shows are run, where the show is not a one-man show where you're it. Like, you are breaking either 5, 10, 15 minutes between other comedians, and the accommodations it would take to put together a song. And plus, I have a way of doing my sets that wouldn't really work with the way that I have of doing Michael Legacy. It's not that it can't be done. It's just I would not do well trying to mesh my deliberate Michael Jackson style with my deliberate comedy style, and it would end up being something that the paying audience would not enjoy. And for that reason, like, this coming on the 26th in Drake, and I'm gonna pitch to Matt Mish that I do an intro as Michael, and then just go into my set from there. But that's about as far integrated as I can really make the two without one of them suffering. So I've thought about it, but I've thought better of it.
All right, I'll throw one more pitch at the wall, and you throw it in the back of your closet, and eventually think about it. But what if you did Michael Legacy Jackson, right?
Mm-hmm.
But doing Weird Al's cover.
I was literally going to say that.
Were you going to say that?
I'm a huge Weird Al fan. So I was literally going to say that. So I'm double down on that.
That's something that can work because it's basically musical comedy. So I wouldn't be doing a set. I wouldn't be doing my comedy set. I would be doing I would be doing a parody of an imitation parody.
Yeah, he's got to wear the hair.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Inception.
That's not a bad idea. Like that works better than trying to do my set as Michael Jackson, which would basically either leave out the dancing or what. That's not a bad idea. That could work.
Michael Inception Jackson. I like it. So you're obviously.
I apologize.
That's right. So you're obviously a super busy dude. I see you posting. First of all, how do you post like 18 times in a day? I struggle trying to think of one interesting thing a day, and I just see you just like boom, 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 and all the most positive shit too. But how do you come up with 18 to 20 things a day to post about? That's insane.
So and that's the other thing, because I used to do. Most of what I do during the day is like, obviously I have my morning set of videos. Like I do my morning greetings, and then I do there's a morning reel Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, whatever. I do the stories, and then there's that one post on Instagram marking the day where it's just something that's on my mind or something that's in my head that I'm like, oh, I'll put this out there. And usually it resonates with people. I do all of that when I wake up, and by noon, or not by noon, but like by 11 to noon, I'm done posting, and I just try to, but people catch it at different points of the day. So like there'll be something that I put, like I do a lot, I do most of my posting in like, I want to say after the morning, there'll be like 10 to 20 minutes where it's like, all right, here's the stand-up clip I want to put out there, put it in the reels, or here's this, or here's the promotion I got to do for my next show. I try to do it all within 20 minutes, and then just leave it alone, because I find that I used to, it seems like you're right that I do post a lot, but I usually do it all within a 15 to 20 minute, 30 minute span.
So you like scheduled postings?
it's not really a schedule. It's like, because of the way the algorithm works, people will see two of the things that I posted 5 hours ago at 5:30, and I posted it like around 1 o'clock. But because I do it all at once, like I'll snap like 2 or 3 reels out there, like I did today. Like I do a throwback reel from Michael Jackson stuff, and then I do a throwback for a Zoom, and then I do a throwback for a live comedy, and then I just put all that out there in like 10 minutes, and then it circulates. So I think how I do it is basically like I put a smorgasbord of posts together, and I throw it out there in 15 to 20 minutes, and then it circulates throughout the day. So I don't have to be on there posting it all freaking day, but because I put it all on there within 10 to 15, 20 minutes, people see it at different points, people see it at different times, especially on the reels. Like reels that I put out. Because the reels, I try to take advantage of. I don't like Facebook reels as much as the old design where that wasn't a thing, because they pop it, they're in my face all the time, and I don't want to see this. But it's there, and it helps boost visibility, so I've tried to take more advantage of it. So as I said, 10 to 30 minutes in the morning, at some point 10 to 30 minutes in the afternoon, I'll just throw a bunch of stuff out there and let it circulate. Another thing is, a lot of stuff that I post to the Boston Comedy Community page ends up as public posts. So those aren't my posts, those are me putting things on the community page, but those also public fees because they're public. So I think that, at the risk of making myself look a little bit less efficient at my own page, the Boston Comedy Community stuff and the New England Comedy Community stuff actually makes me more visible than I would be if I was only posting my own content.
You make a good point with the algorithm. I always forget about that. I remember like the old Facebook where I'm pretty sure it was just like when you post something, it was there, and if somebody else posted, it just kept going down. I'm not a big socials guy. I started because of this podcast. I started back up, and I try not to post things subsequently because of that. But that makes a good point, because I'm noticing you'll see things.
I think yours won't get the same effect, Wayne, because really, this is the problem. The algorithm treats very potent material, like Lloyd's, like heroin, where it has to slowly drip it into people's veins or they'll die of too much comedy. But you won't have that problem. I think that like if you did all of your shit all at once, everybody would be like, not moving the needle.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
And I would say, another reason why I do it like all in one, like in blocks at one time, because I don't want to be, like, I spend enough time looking at this computer as it is to do my notes and to my calendar and appointments, my father's stuff. Like, I spend more time looking at this computer than I want to already, and like my tablet when I'm editing clips or whatever. So I don't like being on social media all day. So if I put out what I want to put out there in different points of the day, I won't have to sit there putting it out there again and again and again, because everything I want to post from noon to 5 is already out there by 11, so I don't have to come on social media again, unless it's to respond to something or answer messages or something like that. But I don't have to spend time on social media waiting to post if everything I want to post is already posted by 12:30, and everything I want to post for the afternoon is posted between 3 and 5, then I can just put it aside. So aside from the algorithm, which I do kind of take into consideration, putting it all out there, one, boom, 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 and then leaving it alone just shows I won't have to do this again later. If I don't want to go on social media for the rest of the night until I say goodnight, I won't have to. It's all there.
That makes sense. One thing I love about your posts, and I don't know if Anthony shares this, at least to the extent I do, is the amount of WWF/WWE content that you put in there. I like, me and you have kind
That's
of
real
talked
to
a little
me
bit.
too, damn it, Wayne.
I don't know. Me and you have never really had this conversation, but Lloyd and I have talked a little bit on Facebook. I'm a big like Attitude Era fan. So like mid '90s to probably like early 2000s, I was a huge wrestling fan. The DX was only what, eight months run or whatever, which is insane to me. But DX, NWO, like the whole WCW takeover, like all that shit.
Yes.
My TikTok reel and Facebook reel is just filled with stuff from that time frame.
Yes.
And I absolutely love it. And every time I see one of your posts, I was actually considering doing the intro, like the old Triple H, like, oh, are you ready?
Yes.
But I was like, I'm not that enthusiastic, so it wasn't going to work. But dude, that's so great. So if I remember correctly, you said you don't really watch as much now, but you did watch back in the day.
became a wrestling fan in the late '80s when I was very young. I grew up in the when Hulkamania was kind of it wasn't. I mean, Hulkamania kind of never really stopped, but like I became a fan around it's like Hogan versus Bundy, WrestleMania 2.
I met King Kong Bundy.
Oh, nice.
I think Hulkamania went away when he ran wild all over that lady a couple years ago.
I think Hulkamania should have died probably 30 years before it did. Well, like,
the pasta maker. Is that what it was?
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh my god. Jesus.
He refused to work with Bret Hart, and he should have. So, but like, I was born during like the peak of Hulkamania, during like WrestleMania 2. But I became a fan. I started watching it. My first ever glimpse, like before I had complete object permanence, is when I started my first wrestling match, and it was when Hogan was feuding with Andre the Giant. And that was like 1987, 1988. I was 4 years old. But that was the market. Back then, wrestling was marketed to like, toddlers and kids and things like that. So I grew up I became a fan at that point. I've been a fan ever since. And even wrestling to me, like the current product that my father's the mark now. My father sits there, he watches Raw on Monday, NXT on Tuesday, AEW on Wednesday, Impact on Thursday, SmackDown and Rampage on Friday, Collision on Saturday, and I thought Raw versus Nitro back in the day was oversaturation. But now I'm the older, jaded, smart fan who knows too much, and I'm sitting there saying, why are they burying that guy? Why did Zack Ryder get more of a push? Why didn't they do this to Daniel Bryan? Oh, fuck, why are they pushing him that? And then my father's watching, oh, no, AJ Styles, no. So, like, and honestly, I envy that. Like, I wish I could like, bring myself back to a time, like, where I could, like, back when I was like, no, don't do that to Hogan. And that's him now with Cena and everybody. So I partly envy it, but like even if I don't watch the modern product as much, like day to day every morning, I watch all the pay-per-views with my father because that's quality time. Just the idea, the pageantry, the spectacle, this wrestling as a concept is a world that we wish we could all live in without the backstage bullshit and nonsense and Vince McMahon. Like, if you could just live every day coming out to entrance music and all that kind of stuff without having to take the bumps, without breaking your neck, without having less body parts working than Mick Foley, you would take that. And
yeah, you could cut a fucking promo, Lloyd. I can goddamn tell. I still remember watching, the last thing I watched was Stone Cold when they were fighting the WCW. I remember that. And he, like, stunned everybody.
Amazing.
And I remember looking at the TV. I was like 11 years old. I was like, man, all of his vertebrae are completely fused in the back of his neck. The guy's like,
oh yeah, it was that pile driver.
Poor guy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You ever see that video, Anthony? Lloyd, I'm sure you have.
yeah.
But have you seen that video of?
No, there's a moment of impact where that happens.
Yes.
Owen Hart. Yep, SummerSlam 97.
No, Owen Hart. Steve Austin.
Oh yeah, Steve Austin. Well,
It was Owen Hart. Yeah.
Owen Hart gave him the pile driver that,
I'm sorry.
that screwed up his neck. But
I was thinking of a different impact.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Wow, goddamn. God must have been a Stone Cold fan for fucking guessing it.
Trust me, the only impact that came after Stone Cold is the one that Vince Russo ruined. But that notwithstanding, I mix a lot of wrestling visuals into because whether people like wrestling or know about it or not, it's the visuals automatically grab your attention. And for the kind of videos that I do, which basically all my videos are just mini Titantrons. So creating using the visuals of the music cueing right at this point when John Cena gives a salute or Hogan doing this or something like that, and just fusing it all together. It's the perfect template, and it adds so much to the editing that I already do. So it's and people who don't even like wrestling are like, well, Lloyd, how do you put such fire and energy into your videos? And I'm like, well, you can thank wrestling for that. And I always mix in, my face or whatever, and there's words, and I tailor it to whatever. But it's wrestling is just the perfect template for online engagement, and that's why, aside from being a massive fan, that's why there's so much of it in my videos online.
So, I'm hooked on this wrestling thing. If you had to pick 3 top solo wrestlers of all eras.
Oh God!
And then two of your top tag teams.
of all eras and 2 top
Yeah,
tag.
whatever. Forever. Yeah. Top 3 solo and top 2 tag teams.
I mean, it's hard to pick a top 3 because, like, I mean, top 3 talkers, top 3 technical wrestlers, top 3 high flyer. Like the reason why, and that's same reason why I can't pick like my 3 favorite NBA players, because like it's easy to say Michael Jordan, but Bill Russell was a better rebounder. It's easy to say Magic Johnson, but Michael Jordan was a better scorer. It's easy to say Michael Jordan again, but Larry Bird was a better passer. It's easy to say Michael Jordan again, but Scottie Pippen was a better defender. It's like, so if I had to pick just 3 all time, like it would, like my personal, like, okay, best of all time and my personal favorite, 2 different things.
Right.
That's the distinction I'm going to make. Because, like, my favorite Michael Jackson, my favorite song of all time by any artist is Heal the World by Michael Jackson. That is not the best Michael Jackson song ever, but it is my personal favorite. So I always, like, adapt that to wrestling. So my personal favorite wrestler of all time, number 1, has always been Shawn Michaels.
Good choice.
I don't think he's the best talker. Which is why if we were talking about promo, Shawn Michaels would be nowhere. I mean, Shawn Michaels not a bad promo, but like, if we were talking talkers, Shawn Michaels would be nowhere near my number 1. But just, Shawn Michaels can talk, he can wrestle, he can fly, he has a little bit of everything. So he's always been my number 1. He's my number 1 de facto favorite wrestler of all time. Now if I had to pick 2 more, it's like, it's hard, because like, in the ring, like in ring work, my number 1 has always been Ric Flair. In the ring, like prime Ric Flair, who would work with anybody and make them look good. But I've also considered Bret Hart 1A to him when it comes to in the ring. But if you're talking about promos, Ric Flair would be right up there. Ric Flair would be my 1 or 2, 3 top in promos. Bret Hart would be nowhere near the top in promos, but as far as in the ring, one of the best of all time. So you see how it's difficult for me to select like top 3. Like it's like, there's so many different like facets of who's the best at what. Like The Rock, people consider The Rock the best talker of all time. Nowhere near the best wrestler. People consider Stone Cold, the best babyface character of all time, even though he was nowhere near the babyface character that Hulk Hogan was. So basically, if I had to pick 3, take all that out of it, narrow it down. Shawn Michaels is my number 1. Ric Flair is number 2. He's kind of number 1, but I'll put him at number 2. And because he's the reason I got into wrestling, again, if it was based on wrestling or talking, maybe. If it was based on wrestling, he'd be nowhere near my top 3. But because he's the reason I got into wrestling, Hulk Hogan.
I like it. So I love Shawn Michaels for 2 things in particular. One, if you've ever seen that video of the kid with Down syndrome coming over there.
Yes. That happened in Providence, Rhode Island. Yes. King of the Ring 97.
Anthony, you gave me a look like I was going to say something horrible. But what happened was there was a kid with Down syndrome. He was fighting, he was wrestling Stone Cold, I believe it was.
Wait, a Down syndrome kid was fighting Stone Cold?
No. Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was
wrestling Stone Cold Steve Austin at King of the Ring 1997. And this kid with Down syndrome was a really big Shawn Michaels fan. And Stone Cold was doing what Stone Cold did back in 1997, and that was kick ass. And the kid was getting uppity about it and trying to get over the railing and trying to get at Stone Cold. And Shawn Michaels kind of broke away from the match and went to comfort him, and like they led the kid away from the ring so that he wouldn't do something that would get. And Shawn Michaels was just there, like really taking care of the kid, and helped him usher him to the back. And that was like. Shawn Michaels was a babyface at the time, a good guy at the time, but Shawn Michaels behind the scenes was a piece of garbage. So like, it was rare for Shawn Michaels to show that kind of non-character based like goodness in him, and that's kind of where people knew Shawn Michaels isn't the piece of garbage that he is. There's something in him. There's a heart inside of him, and that moment kind of showed everybody the real when Shawn Michaels came back in 2002 and he wasn't pilled up and fucked up anymore. That moment kind of showed what Shawn Michaels could be. That's the moment that Wayne's talking about.
Okay, yeah. So when you guys first started the conversation, I was more getting into horror movie mode, where I thought he was going to kick the Down syndrome kid in the face, and I was really looking.
No,
that was the direction I was hoping it would go, and then it went heartwarming. So it was kind of heartwarming, but at the same time,
disappointing.
Yeah. A little bit. All that ass kicking in that area, and that kid's trying to get over the rail. Listen, I don't care who you are. Jump over the rail of a sport event. Find out. Jump over the.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Look. I think Shawn Michaels did the right thing, but if Stone Cold got to that kid before Shawn Michaels did,
Yeah.
That's just the way the business goes, unfortunately.
Yeah, we don't negotiate with anybody. I don't care who you are.
My other favorite Shawn Michaels moment was when he was mad at Hulk Hogan for something. I forget exactly what it was, but he oversold every single everything. Like, he was sitting on top of the turnbuckles, and like Hogan was giving him kicks or whatever, and he was flying like 4 feet into the air.
Yep.
And he like gave him like a single punch, and he flew over the ropes and like 15 feet rolled 15 feet backwards up the rail.
Just making Hogan look two of the greatest backstage politicers of all time.
Oh yeah.
Because Hogan didn't want to lose to Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam 2005, which, if it came down to pure athletics, Hogan should have lost, because Hogan even in his New Japan drop toe hold headlock best day, Hogan was nowhere near the in-ring worker that Michaels was. And Hogan didn't want to lose, and Hogan also nixed 2 extra matches. It was supposed to be Hogan win the first one, Michaels win the second one, Hogan win the third one. Hogan's like, "Oh, my bad, brother." So that didn't happen, and Shawn wasn't happy about it. Now, my heart doesn't bleed for Shawn in that case, because Shawn Michaels is the same person who 10 years prior to that went to Vince McMahon and had a match between him and the British Bulldog that the British Bulldog was supposed to win, and dedicated to his freaking dying sister, who was dying of cancer at the time, and he was dedicated a win to her, and Shawn Michaels had to finish reversed so that Shawn Michaels could win instead, and then had the audacity to throw the freaking brace at freaking Bret Hart's dying freaking cancer-ridden sister live in the arena. This is the kind of politics Shawn Michaels would get up to back in the day. So even though I hate Hogan for a lot of backstage shit when he did Starrcade 97, 96, I'll never forgive him for. But, you know, Shawn, karma's a bitch.
Yeah.
You ran into the only person that you could not out-politic. You deserve to win because Hogan could not freaking wipe your ass on the ring on that night. You fucked over the British Bulldog's dying cancer sister. So fuck you a little bit, Shawn. Just a little bit. Fuck you. Fuck you, Shawn.
Wow. So this is really nice for a couple different reasons. Because Wayne is like, I got 2 good Bret Hart moments, and he vaguely describes it, and I couldn't pull out of space what the fuck he was talking about. And you came in and so eloquently described what he was trying to say in such a better way twice. Do you have encyclopedic knowledge of any other thing that I can use to make that stupid piece of shit more understandable on the podcast?
Oh my God.
Dix would be really helpful because he fucking loves talking about that.
I know way too much about too many things that I don't need to know, but it's fun, so I retain it anyway.
Sorry, Ray, go ahead.
That's right. Anthony, who's your top 3 favorite?
Tag teams. We're far into this, so go ahead.
I'm going to be just as eloquent.
It doesn't matter who you tag. What?
You're going to fucking Stone Cold me?
No, you don't even know. There was the Rock, motherfucker.
The Rock sucks. He said that earlier.
He still want to. When it came to promos,
I have an answer.
Lloyd, the Rock. Right?
Oh yeah, The Rock.
When it came to promos, the Rock was like probably one of the best ever.
Oh yeah, definitely. And he wasn't bad in the ring. He wasn't as good as other people.
Yeah.
I might not know wrestling, but you know what I was thinking when Lloyd was talking? 1, awesome. 2, Shawn Michaels is also my favorite wrestler of all time, but I didn't know anything about him other than I'm a short Portuguese man.
You just thought he was a sexy boy.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I have never been able to lift my leg over the equator of my body. Like, I just can't fucking do it. And he would do a isosceles triangle, like an angle, and to kick someone in the face, and the stomping on the ground, the whole thing. That was my favorite move by a mile. I did like a 5-star frog splash by whoever did that. That guy was my
Eddie
favorite.
Guerrero?
Rob Van Dam.
Rob Van Dam. Yeah,
Eddie
see?
Guerrero had the
You don't know
5-star
shit, Wayne.
Rob Van Dam had the 5-star frog splash. No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Eddie Guerrero was bad.
I'm getting schooled over here. I thought I was going to do pretty good against you.
I told some lady at an open mic once I was going to 5-star frog splasher, and I don't think she got it. I don't think she got it.
you're feeling froggy, open mic is not a place to leave.
No, definitely not. So Shawn Michaels, number 1. Stone Cold, number 2. Because he stunnered everybody once. He got out of an ambulance and stunnered the entire world. You know that. That was my favorite thing that anybody's ever did. And third, retirement Ric Flair at Kill Tony a couple weeks ago when he he did not let them do the show.
Oh my God.
That version of Ric Flair, when the guy went up and bombed and he was like, "You should not shit on." I wanted to fly to Austin and be like, "Rick, this is the first thing you've ever been wrong about in the history of your life. This is the first thing you've ever been wrong about."
I don't know. I think he was wrong about coming back for that one last match.
If you can see X-ray vision into underneath the fucking underwear he's wearing, you would say differently. I bet he's fine.
So I got it. That's a great top 3. The third is even better because it's not even Prime versus Steamboat Flair or versus Macho Man Flair or Flair versus Piper or Flair versus freaking Kerry Von Erich in a Texas Dome. It's this version of Flair at Kill Tony that just was fuck all and didn't care. That version of.
Yeah, the one he was ordering, I could tell he was ordering a prostitute on his cell phone while he was getting toward the end of it, because like he got more and more impatient. He's like, "Somebody got my car. All right, I'm fucking out of here."
Exactly.
I love that
one. Yeah, you like this shit.
He could kick some ass. I could fucking tell. Man. He got veins in his neck.
Oh, man.
All right, Wayne, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, I think probably if I had to pick my number, I think Mick Foley in all his iterations. I just really enjoyed him. Stone Cold was definitely up there. His Stone Cold actually might even be my number 1. I think as a kid, I probably idolized him more than I should have. As
Stone
a kid,
Cold's the man. Stone Cold was the biggest draw of any top babyface in WWE history, and he was there. He even outsold Hogan in merch, which is a number I didn't know until I got older. But like, he could wrestle, he could talk. He came along at the perfect time at the end of the '90s when everybody was. It was, grunge and emo, whatever, rock, and everybody was angry, everybody's pissed off, Crash Television, it's like Stone Cold was just the perfect guy at the perfect time, and he's never gotten old. He's never.
Did he hit his wife ever?
Say it again?
what's that?
Did he ever hit his wife?
Supposedly, I think he
Yeah,
did.
there's been allegations.
Has there? I didn't even know there was allegations. I just pictured his face and I went, the first thought was, how has he not spawned a generation of people not punching their wives in the face? Because he has such a wife-punching face. I'm like, I don't want to accuse him, but I wonder if he has. And you guys are like, yeah. I'm like, yes!
There was, in 2002, there was, Deborah, whose wife at the time, has come out and she danced around it. She said it, then she later took it back, and Stone Cold Stone Cold said he made a lot of mistakes in 2002. It's never been officially confirmed by both parties coherently, but the idea has been, he didn't do to his wife what Chris Benoit did, but he definitely, hopefully nobody does to...
Yeah.
No, but have you ever met someone named Deborah who hasn't been punched in the face at least once? Because I haven't. That's a fucking... that's a lady who takes a beating.
No, but I did have a phone conversation with Chris Benoit 5 months before he died.
What?
Did you?
Tell me about that shit. Holy
definitely.
fuck.
Chris Benoit was at Game On over here in Boston in 2007, signing autographs. My friend Ricky went to the autograph signing, and I was sick that day, so I couldn't make it. Ricky said he was going to give me an autograph. He got me an autograph from Chris Benoit, which is in my closet over there, and he put me on the phone with Chris Benoit. And Chris was like, "Hey, is this Lloyd?" I'm like, "Oh my God, again, it hadn't happened yet."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh my God, Chris Benoit." He's like, "Hey, why aren't you down here getting this autograph in person?" I'm like, "Well, I wasn't feeling well today, but Ricky said he was gonna give me the autograph. Well, I'm gonna sign it for you, okay? And then you tell me if he gets it to you or not. Because if he doesn't get it to you, I'm gonna come back for him." Which, in hindsight, I'm just gonna say in hindsight, but yeah, that was my phone conversation with Chris Benoit when he was in Boston 5 months before he did the thing.
Listen, it's been long enough. I think we can say it. If we're talking top 3s. Top 3 of all time family murders. Like, God damn. Like, that was fucking Like, God, they do the Amityville Horror every 2 years. They make a new version of the Amityville Horror, and you're like, the Benoit beatdown was fucking way more heinous than that. God damn.
I mean, if there's a category for the absolute worst, yeah, Benoit takes it, bro. I mean, yeah.
What's your top 3 family murders, Wayne?
Family murders? I don't know if I know 3.
Yeah, that's what you get for asking me a fucking wrestling question. All right, let's move on.
All right. We'll back off. So it was Stone Cold, Mick Foley, number 3, Repo Man. No, that's not true. It wasn't Repo Man. It would be the Undertaker, but like
Miller would be number 1.
what's that? But my number 3 would be the Undertaker, but like the old Undertaker with the Paul Bearer with the urn.
Yeah.
Like the real dead man. Like that had my attention.
Before it became a biker, then a hybrid of the biker and the dead man.
Yeah. That whole thing like freaked me out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But
I lost the illusion of it when I saw him without his makeup. Oh, not makeup, but like with like his regular attire at an airport. They took a picture of him once, and I was like, oh, like it loses all the illusion of the character when you see them in public. They gotta hide.
Undertaker's not dead. That's like being Speed John Cena. It ruins everything.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I don't get it.
oh shit.
Well, comedy question, Wayne. Please, God,
yeah, comedy.
throw me a lifeline.
I thought it was going pretty good. I like the rest.
No, it's going great. I'm just over here fucking speaking Mandarin with you guys. I'm like, oh yeah, that definitely. I remember that. 1987. Was it?
So you started.
My dad's ball sack glimmered when Hulk Hogan fucking hit that leg drop. That's right, Wes.
So you started comedy in 2016.
Yes. Return.
So were you a comedy fan before that, or did like I know you said you kind of got thrown into it, but like, so who were some of your when you were coming up? You had a week to prepare. Who were some of your influences coming up with that stuff?
So I've never had any comedy influences. I didn't have time to be influenced by the comedians that I liked growing up, or at the time when I'm preparing to do comedy for a week. My biggest influence when I was preparing for that week was 2010 to 2014 me on Twitter. Because I had a week to do this, so I'm like, I don't know what a 5-minute set is. I don't know what to structure. Which for anybody hearing this now and thinks I'm great on stage now, this is gonna they're like, how did Lloyd never? There was a time. It can happen. So I went to like Twitter from like 4 years. Just I combed through 3 years of my tweets on Twitter, trying to find things that were a sentence or less that I felt maybe I could compile them into something that resembled a 5-minute set. And I managed to somehow do that by the following Tuesday. So there was no, like, the acts who I was a fan of, that's a different question. I've never let myself be influenced by any comedians trying to find my voice, because I felt like there were enough people trying to sound like Dane Cook and Mitch Hedberg when I started, and now, and before I started, and next year as well. So I just said, and that's one of the reasons why now people look at me as one of the, from what people say, most unique voice in Boston comedy. Mm-hmm. Big D has said that, Kathy Ferris has said that, other people have said that, because I never let myself be influenced by anybody. But it took me 2 years to find my voice. So there was a lot of time for me not letting myself be influenced by somebody, forced me to write my own original style, and that took longer, but it paid off in the end.
That's good. I like that, because the first time I went up, I didn't intentionally do it, but we record everything that we do, and that was from the very first time ever. And just like a couple weeks ago, I went back and listened to my first set ever, and there's a point in one of the jokes I did where I could tell I wasn't consciously doing it, but I was almost trying to sound like Bill Burr. Mm-hmm. Like it was just like yelling a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like I have a point where like the joke was about finding my dad's old porn, and like how kids today can find, they go on Pornhub and it's easy because there's a timestamp, and so like I get to the point and I'm like, it's fucking easy mode. It's fucking easy. They got it. It's easy. And I was just screaming. I was like, why am I doing that? And I don't do that now. I've condensed that into something that sounds more like me.
Right.
But that was I don't know. It was kind of almost cringy in a way when I was listening. I was like, God damn. It was like,
Isn't it impressive that you listened to that and you're still alive right now? Like, how did you...
I'm just really lucky there wasn't any sharp curves because I could have at least pretended like it was an accident. I was driving when I was listening to it.
Yeah, no, I got an Ark of the Covenant.
It's like people will, when you're doing something in the vein of somebody that you've really admired, you don't have to try to rip them off, but it will kind of just seep its way into what you're doing. And I kind of I did not listen to my favorite comedians, but I definitely never used them as study cases or inspiration, or I don't sit down and watch Richard Pryor live on a Sunset Strip before I go on stage. It's I couldn't risk it. And by 2000, my issue when I was starting is I got a lot of weird advice from people who knew what they were doing. And because I'm a rookie who has no idea I'm a rookie learning on the job, I listened to these older people who were like, you know what, do less punchlines, be more of a storyteller. Yeah. Which, when you're starting and trying to find your way as a comedian, storytelling comedy is great, but if you can do it and you have 30 minutes that you can keep people laughing all the way up until the punchline at the 8th minute. But when you're just starting, it's not good advice. Mike McDonald gave me the best advice I ever got towards 2017 when he was like, Lloyd, people can critique you on whether what you're saying is funny or not. People can critique you on whether or not what you're doing is good or not, but nobody can tell you how to go on that stage and be you. And that was the best advice I'd ever gotten from one of the old timers, so to speak, until I found my voice in 2018, which is a whole other story.
So that brings up a good point or question I just thought of. In your mind, would you take what's more valuable to you? Advice from another comic, or even a seasoned comic, or laughs from a legitimate audience? So let's say you go on stage and you have a legitimate audience, people paid money to be there, or people that are not comics, and they're laughing, they're enjoying what you're doing, but maybe somebody comes up to you and goes, that doesn't work. Even somebody you respect, you need to change that. How do you lean there?
So the most valuable advice I've gotten from peers of mine came when I was coming up and learning. I reached a point, I want to say in 2019, where I've had that before, where I go on stage and people are laughing, but somebody will come up and try to change something. I don't get that as much. People don't offer me much advice now. Not because I don't want to speak for them. I can't tell you why they don't think I need advice, because until I'm as good as Lenny Clark, which I'll never be, I'm always going to take advice if it's good. But advice on something that works versus advice for your own growth, I value advice based on what I know is good advice. If somebody tells me to change something that is working, then I go with what the crowd thinks. But by the same token, if I do something in front of two crowds that absolutely murders, and I do that same thing in front of a different crowd in a different market, and it flatlines, and somebody who's more familiar with that market than I am advises me on how to maybe segment certain things to better play to Portland, Maine than I would Cambridge, Massachusetts, I'll take that advice because I see for myself that it's valuable. I've been one of the most consistent compliments and critiques I get on my comedy is that I'm too highbrow, too intelligent, too smart. Mm-hmm. It's not a bad thing, but in certain rooms, I've played rooms where the stuff I'm saying gets reactions, but also goes over half their heads. And I've been pulled aside by the host afterwards, Lloyd, this is great stuff, but when you're playing this kind of an audience, you gotta not dumb it down, but you gotta at least compartmentalize certain things, maybe change a few references, maybe rephrase a few things so that it can reach a more very nicely they're saying dumb audience, but they're not saying that. They're advising me on how to better play to an audience that if I do it the way they're familiar with their market, it'll work the same way it works everywhere else. So I won't ignore advice if I know it's advice to take. But if I just crushed and you're telling me that didn't work, where were you? Fuck you.
The same thing happens to me with audiences all the time, but it's not intelligence that I have too much of. It's offensiveness. And there's definitely certain crowds that cannot handle that. So if you get advice about how to do Portland, Maine, please let me know, because every time I've gone there, I get particular blue-haired women getting very mad at me. And I'm trying, guys. Like, I'm trying to find something you like, but you're picky. All right, sorry, Wayne, go ahead.
Well, I just did 30 minutes in Portland, Maine, and didn't lose the crowd at all. So I guess I can offer something, but I also didn't say anything offensive toward blue-haired women, so that might have helped.
Yeah, it's tough. They're like, why don't you just stop saying offensive things towards them? I'm like, I know that is the solution that most people are going to say, but I can't.
There's something to be said about that, though. So doing... I won't even say what we're doing. We're doing mainly open mics. We're starting to get into a little bit more of guest spots and things like that. But
Nice.
For somebody, yeah, awesome. That's a lot of fun. Open mics are fun too, but the guest spots that's a nice step up. But what you're doing, or let's stick with like guest spots, right? You go to some place that's a guest spot. They're not there. They're still not there to see you, right? In open mics, they're not there to see you. So the people that find your type of humor may not necessarily be there. So it's really hard to judge. So at this point in the game, you're trying to tailor your comedy to the general audience. But as you get up and more well known, you're going to have people that recognize your name and go, "Oh yeah, he does jokes about this, this, and that. I want to go see him." So you're going to have a room more packed. Like somebody like Shane Gillis, right? Just dropped his special. You know, he had a room full of people that were there to see Shane Gillis. So obviously fans of him who find his type of humor funny.
Right.
That would not fly in Portland, I tell you, Shane. You'd have me and you would be sitting back there with the same kind of set.
Maybe. I forgot where I was going with that, but there's something to be said about that difference in while trying to hone your craft.
Like I can piggyback off something you just said, because open mics are different than like when you're at an open, which I value open mics. I still do them. They're the best place to work out new material before you put them in front of a crowd. But there is a difference between, I learned this the hard way, like years ago. There is a difference between an open mic crowd and real audiences.
Yep.
Like when you start performing in front of real audiences, the noticeable difference in not only what you can say or what will work, but also the noticeable difference in how much you are going to do well in front of potential audiences really shines through when you're in front of people who are there to see comedy and not other comics. Because I always call open mic is a scrimmage. That's where you go to. That's where you go to fuck up. That's your practice room. Like if you're there, like that's where it's okay to read off your notes. If you don't have everything all together, like that's where you go to do it. But the thing about open mics is that if you're working and people will tell you, you know, it does become, if somebody's working on the same 5 minutes for 10 years and it never changes or anything like that, okay, whatever. But like if people at open mics, they do the same shit over and over again because they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure out what works. I do it. I've done it. Like people discourage that. That's not a bad thing. But people who have already heard your set over and over again, especially the same comics and the same open mics, they aren't going to be laughing by the 8th or 9th time they've heard it, even if you are doing it to work on it. Whereas if you do that same set in front of a crowd that has never seen you before, never heard that stuff before, and may never hear it again, and if it's good, fills the room. Like there are things that I do now and during shows that if I did it in front of an open mic in front of my peers who have heard it 500 times, you know, it's not going to work. But like, you know, this crowd in Portland has never heard me talk about any of this, and they'll probably never see me again. So it's funny to them, but your peers, whether it's disinterest or whether you have people like me who actually do listen, but I've heard it 100 times, the difference is definitely there between open mics and shows. And you have to keep that in mind, at least in my experience. I won't say what everybody has to do, but in my experience, keeping in mind the open mic is practice. That is scrimmage. Nobody's going to get mad at Tom Brady for throwing an interception during practice. But if you do it during game day or on a show, it can end up costing you. So
Yeah.
go to open mics and make your mistakes or do fuck around or whatever, but like make sure you're working towards something, because when you are in front of crowds, everything that you did at open mics is going to count, but it's also going to make a difference. It doesn't matter what other comics think of you to an extent. Like if people are running rooms, you might not want to rub them the wrong way. But they don't matter as much as an audience full of people is going to matter. You're not going to be playing to comics at the Wilbur or at the Comedy Studio or at the Comedy Scene or at Roar or you know, at the wherever. You're going to be playing to an audience. And what you do, what comics aren't impressed by, is if you impress an audience, that's what matters.
That's true. So we've talked about this a few times, but I took a class with Mike Katrobis back in August.
Solid dude.
Yeah, he's great. So I took it with actually Jacques Lambert. I was there with him, and you probably know Ian Michael Sargent.
Yes.
Ian Matthew Sargent. Sorry, I did that too. It was a hosting class, and Ian went up after me, and I called him Ian Michael Sargent. His name was Ian Matthew Sargent.
Yeah.
But so I took it with those guys, and I did my 5 minutes, and it went really fucking good. Mm-hmm. But then, you know, leading up to that, or not even leading up to that, subsequent nights, because we did the Borough not too long ago, which I kind of failed in what I was supposed to do. I was doing that set leading up, and it just wasn't getting that same reaction. I was curious, like, why is that happening? Mm-hmm. And you make a good point. You know, we talk about it all the time. Open mics, comics are there to go up, and when they get off, they're like, "What did I do wrong?" Or if they haven't gone up, what am I, you know, running through their set in their head, or this or that. It is much different in front of a room full of people who are not there, worried about what they're going to do when they're on stage, or worried about what they did when they were up on stage, or whatever. You know, it's a different atmosphere. It's interesting.
And obviously,
all that interacts.
There's different audiences for different kinds of material. Some people like the more blue material. Some people like intelligent material. Some people like, you know, just topical. I did this the other day. Some people like a combination of whatever. And I never like. The ongoing running joke / truth in Boston comedy is that if you can't make Lloyd laugh, you're doing something wrong. Because I'm very easy to like make laugh. Like I'm a fan, but I'm not on stage. So like,
well, now I'm gonna be. We've almost crossed paths so many times.
Yeah, we gotta get on a show together. That's for fucking sure.
We like I almost went to the Jungle Mic. We were at Tempo Bistro, and we were about to leave to go to the Jungle Mic when you were hosting, and I messaged you. I was like, "Hey, how's the list looking?" You're like, "Yeah, we got like 20 deep," and I'm like, "I got to work at 7 a.m.
Right.
I can't do that."
Which is fair.
And then you went to the Winner's Circle the week after Anthony went. I was supposed to go too, but we've almost crossed paths so many times. When we finally do, I'm gonna be super fucking nervous now. I'm gonna see you sitting there like fucking like the grumpy guys in the Muppets, like fuck this guy.
Well, speaking of Dave's, Lloyd.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, this normally gets to the point where we ask you, you know, the shows you got coming up, because we want to plug all your shit for you. So, you know, first what you're going to say, but then let us know where you're going to be. Want the people to see it.
So what I was going to say is that, like, I'm never one to, like, police people's material. I know what I find funny, which is a lot, and I know what I don't find funny, which is very little. But I also know that, like, for example, if you can make it funny, obviously I don't think anything should be off limits if you can make it funny. There's a lot of edgelord alt types out here who want to shock you with what they say but not make you laugh, which kind of defeats the point. Like, anybody can go up there and say, "Women, why? Black people, what are those? Okay, that's my time." Like,
What are those?
Yeah. like that's oh, he just said that. But like, if I want to be shocked, I'll listen to a rap battle. If I want to be educated, I'll go not watch the news. But like, if it's funny, anything can be made entertaining. But let it be a joke. Like, let it be something. If you're gonna discuss, you know, race, if you're gonna discuss, you know, sex or whatever, like let there be something to it. Like, I personally don't find, you know, material about, you know, trigger warning, anybody listening, I don't find material about rape funny, because I personal experience. If you listen to the freaking podcast with Josh, you'll know why I don't really get down with that. But if George Carlin had a way of making anything funny, like Light in the Dark Place, that was George Carlin. If George Carlin is at the Garden, you know, back before he was not here anymore, if George Carlin told him that kind of joke at the Garden, and I'm the only one there not laughing, if 14,000 people are laughing, it's not for me. Not because it's not funny, but it's not for me. But George Carlin told jokes. He wrote jokes. He didn't just take a topic that was shocking and go up there and say, here's a thing that's not nice. Listen to it and react. No, he actually told a joke. So, like, if, like, I've sat through so many open mics. I've heard people just go up there and say insidious things and expect that to be the reaction. Rather, of a bad joke, I'll take a bad joke that doesn't land, that was at least written as a joke. Like a comic that I really enjoy, honestly, Josh Goldstein, who I really, really like. He had a joke a long time ago. He hasn't told it in a long time, but it was a joke that the idea that I'm not going to say the joke because it's his joke, and I want to do that. I don't want to recite the joke for somebody else. But the idea around the joke was me 3, and like I was at the comedy studio, the old comedy studio, one time where he told the joke. He finished the joke, and a woman in the audience was like, "No, fuck you." And like the thing is, I personally wasn't a fan of that joke as much as his other jokes, but he wrote it as a joke. Like, he didn't go up there with no structure and nothing to offer and just try to be shocking. He actually wrote it as a joke. So I've always been a little bit easier on Josh in that regard than other people were who heard that joke, because yes, it wasn't, for the time especially, it wasn't a great topic, but he at least attempted to write it as a joke. And I will always give credit to somebody who writes a bad joke and it doesn't land because it's a bad joke, rather than somebody who goes up there, has no joke, and just says, "This is fucked up." So
The Light in the Dark, that's a great way to describe The Light in the Dark there. Because my favorite comic, I've said a million times on here, is Louis C.K., and that's the definition of how he writes is just, what's the worst thing in the world and how can I extract money out of it? And
Exactly.
to me, that double layer thought process, I think, is what draws me to it so much. I think it's just like I like Mitch Hedberg too for the same reason. Like a lot of his jokes, there's another layer underneath that if you can pick up on the guy, Mitch Hedberg, you really can appreciate it more. That's where the greats come from. And then you got people like Brian Regan and stuff like that, where you are complete opposite end of the spectrum of how they do it, but equally as mystifying, because they're writing jokes, like you said. If you got a joke, it doesn't matter how you package it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of anything can be funny as long as it's not written or said in hate, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like when I go on stage in front of a room full of white people, I call myself a niggerican because I'm half Hispanic and half black.
The first time I heard that on one of your videos, I sent that. I can't believe how many people I sent that to. It was one of the, I was dying. Like, I was sitting on my couch and I was laughing so hard. Like, I can't believe I never heard anybody say that before.
My dad would clap if he heard that word.
It almost seems obvious, but it's not obvious. It was one of the funniest things to do on that. It was great.
Thank you. And that's one of those things, like, to me, I'm surprised I've never heard it before. I'm not going to say I'm the first person to ever say it, but I never heard it before I said it. But it's like, that's one of those things that it's like, and even the tag is like, a niggerican, if you will, and if you will, please don't. Which is kind of like, don't use this as an excuse to be racist, which is a tag that makes it funny, but it's also, it's turning, and then after I say, I don't want to get shot in the lawn, I don't want to mow it. It's like, yeah, I'm acknowledging the stereotype, but I'm not glorifying it. And like, if you're gonna go there, like if you're gonna talk about a rapist, don't glorify the act of rape. Make fun of the fact that the rapist is an asshole. Bury him. Like take a shot at him. I've made Bill Cosby jokes before. I don't glorify Bill Cosby. I'm like, there's a joke I did one time where I'm like, if I got into a ball pit and something goes awry, I would like to say that the 7 behind the 3 of my age is silent, but that will go as well as Bill Cosby at a women's rights convention. Exactly, not well. So it's like, sometimes the best way to bring controversy into the picture is to either pick up the ignorance, is what George Carlin always did, or just make it funny, like so many other people did, but not a lot of people get that. So I can say these and at the end of every set, Kathy Ferris told me to put this at the end of every set, but I always do. I look black enough to get away with it, but I sound white enough to make you listen, which basically points out the fact that I can say these things.
I love that too. I saw that the other day. So good.
And it's true because it's a double standard that works, because I can say things that if somebody who looked like Wayne said it, it'd be racist. but I look black enough to say it, but I sound educated enough to know what I'm talking about, which is also putting another finger at another stereotype that I've dealt with all my life. Oh, you sound so articulate. You sound so upscale. I've gotten it all my life, and it's like I've turned that now in. That's why I use that closing joke, because immediately I'm the whitest sounding person in insert town here, which again, nobody sounds white, but the idea of it, if I say that, you get it. And people have often told me, like, people come up to me after the show, like, you know what, I like that joke, because really, who sounds white? And like, I get it, but like, and like, it speaks to people in that way. So I feel like if you're gonna take those dark turns where it's like, oh, very, don't race, or this, that, like, do something with it. Don't just say Hispanics, Mexican, blacks, Filipino, Manila. What even is that? Like, do something with it.
Well, one of my favorite things that I see you say is, I'm not saying dick jokes can't be funny, but I forget how you word it, but it's basically saying, like, I haven't heard one that is like.
Oh, Wayne's been training Rocky fucking 4 style in the Alps, fucking punching cows and shit with his dick joke, getting ready to try to win you over.
So I was gonna send it to you before. I want to ask you. I have a dick joke that I think is not cliche. It's I don't know. I think it's pretty good. If I send it to you, will you give me 100%? I don't care if you hurt my feelings, where like you're a name in my note. I don't care if you send that type of feedback.
Can you tell that Wayne pays women to step on his balls on the weekends and fucking hurt him by what he subjects himself to? He's like, can you please watch this and be nice and mean, please?
No, I'm really curious because I
send 100% honest feedback on your allegedly well-written dick joke.
Allegedly.
I have so I was gonna say, because you said you don't do a rape joke, don't glorify the rapist, bury him. And that might be helpful for. I have a Bill Cosby / Hitler bit where I glorify a little bit too much, maybe, in it. That I told Wayne the other night, actually, and I think it's a great bit, but I'm having a real hard time, like, straight facing saying it. But I think Wayne, what do you think? Do you think it's pretty good?
Yeah, I liked it.
Wayne liked it.
That's the thing. Like, here's another point about like dark jokes. Sometimes, even if the joke itself is well written and good, it just might not do well for a general audience.
Yeah.
And also delivery. Because here's a true story. Here's a true story from my very early days when my writing was starting to come around. Justin P. Drew, who was an old comedy friend of mine, told me, Lloyd, try being more edgy. Me, edgy, at that time, But I took the advice and I wrote a miscarriage joke. Now, I wrote this joke and I tried to deliver it in my voice, my inflection, given everything how I feel about women. Obviously, I don't like this joke that I wrote, but I'm trying to go with it. And the third time I did it was at the Winner's Circle, and my friend, not comedian, but a friend of mine named Nikki sat at the table, was like, Lloyd, what are you doing? That's not you. That's not you. And really, everybody could tell. So I sent that joke. I'm not going to use it, but apparently it's it's a well-written joke. You're not behind it, and I'm not behind it. I can't sell it. I cannot sell miscarriage the way The Rock could sell poontang pie, which is the most ridiculous thing any human being has ever said. But he said it with such conviction that he got a T-shirt out of it. So I sent this joke to a friend of mine in Florida, or a fellow comedian, fellow comedian who had a very Tosh.0 devil may care, like, I don't fuck your kids and then fuck them after that. Like, he had that kind of stuff. So I sent this joke to him, and he sent me videos where he performed in front of 300 people, 400 people, 500 people, and 800 people across different nights. He read my miscarriage joke as it was written. No changes, no edits, my miscarriage joke. He delivered it to hundreds of people in that fuck the world freaking inflection that he really got behind it. Crushed. But,
yeah, I was going to say, that's how I know I'll never be known as New England's most beloved comic like you, is because people come up to me and they're like, oh, that miscarriage joke? Perfect. Spot on your personality. That's you should be saying that. I'm like, yes, I know.
Well, that's another thing. And that's what I mean, like when well-written, sometimes the worst material can get over, or good material that wouldn't get over with an audience with sensibilities sometimes work if you have enough conviction. But that becomes another thing. Do you want to try to put enough conviction behind a joke that glorifies Bill Cosby and Hitler enough to try to get a good reaction, or do you just want to inverse it? And that's a personal decision that you have to make as a comedian. If you can get it to work, go with it. Like I said, we go back to The Rock. In the late 90s, The Rock said the most ridiculous llama penises and show this up. He said the most middle school, third grade adults do not talk like this bullshit, but he said it with the conviction that had people chanting his name. So even the most ridiculous, stupid shit can get over if you deliver it well enough. But also, do you want to take the risk of being known as the comic who commits to glorifying Hitler and Cosby for the joke? And again,
I know what you're saying. I get it, Lloyd.
I'm not here to judge that. Like, some people can make that work.
I hear you.
There's a comic named Alan Fitzgerald, who's one of my favorite comedians, who makes that shit work, and people laugh at it. But because he commits to it, and he doesn't flinch, and even if you're not laughing, he will stare at you until you do. So I'm not saying it can't work. This is a personal comic decision you have to make.
But that's my point with Hitler a little bit. It's like it's the conviction that if you just forget 6-ish million things that he did, and just focus on the oration, the oratal ability for him to take fucking the first methamphetamine that everybody made, like the pure shit, and then go up there and Rolling Stones at Madison Square Garden, that whole place. I'm just saying, like, none of the other stuff, just the talking, pretty good.
That's not so much glory. That's not glorifying. See, glorifying Hitler would be like, man, he solved 6 million problems. That was a final solution. See, that's
oh man, that's the one.
And I would never say on stage, but like that would be glorifying Hitler. You're more just pointing out the nuance, which is not terrible. It's not terrible.
I'm just saying, he painted a picture of a Cocker Spaniel, right, when you ended up fact-checking me on it?
The one I found was he had a bunch of them, but I just the one that I found that actually I could verify was Hitler was a Cocker Spaniel. Yes.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful, and I'm like, sucks that he made that, obviously.
Do you know?
But we just judge the art.
Do you know what his dog's name was?
You tell me, please.
Blondie.
Oh.
100%. Like, it's not even a
So
joke.
he was also funny, you're saying? Stop it, Wayne!
Yes. He's a great talker, great artist, a comedian. He just had that one thing that was just like... Ugh.
He had 6-ish million things.
Some of the most successful entertainers of all time have been douchebags.
Yeah, exactly. That's my whole point. And
I love Jim Morrison. Wouldn't meet him in person and shake his hand.
so that's the Bill Cosby tie into the bit. The whole idea to the bit I'm trying to do is Bill Cosby's touring again. And it's really conflicting because it'd be like if Hitler came back and you could forget those 6 million things and just judge him by how awesome he was at orating, you'd probably not want to miss it. Like if Hitler was doing 6 minutes down at the Jungle Mike, and he killed, and you missed it, you might be pretty upset.
I'm pretty sure there are 6 million people who wish they had missed Hitler killing.
It's great.
I saw Cosby live when all that stuff came to fruition. Before people realized that he really did it, people were still like, "Oh, he's Bill Cosby. He can fuck anybody he wants. Why would he do that?"
So he joked about it, right?
I went with my wife. Yeah, he joked. I went with my wife and a couple friends, and he was making jokes about it. Some lady in the front got up to go to the bathroom, and he stopped his joke. He goes, "Hey, you might want to take your drink with you. You've heard about me." And he did a stupid little pudding pop smile. And
evil.
It was one of the funniest sets. It was one of the funniest nights I've ever had. Right? He just absolutely killed. It was great.
And that's the thing, and that's, people have come up to me, like I did a podcast with the River Comics, now Great Falls Comedy Club, and we had a whole segment on Bill Cosby, because what does Mr. Respect the Ladies think of Bill Cosby? And obviously, I grew up on Bill Cosby. That's the thing. There's a separation of fact and personal sentiment. Because I will tell you the moment where I was unable to separate the art from the artist when it comes to Bill Cosby, but before I go into that, I will never say that Bill Cosby isn't funny. he factually is funny.
He's one of the funniest out there.
Exactly. Now, some people hear me say that and they think, so are you just excusing everything? No, I'm just pointing out, like, I myself, for the reason I'm going to get into in a minute, can't listen to Bill Cosby anymore. And it's not because of what he did alone, it's because of where he made it. I mean, that enough was like, but then he made it impossible for me to even try to separate the art from the artist. But like when people who like Bill Cosby will get mad when I point out what he did, and then people who don't like Bill Cosby will get mad when I point out that he's factually funny. Which, again, if it was Chris D'Elia, it'd be easy because he's not funny and he's a piece of garbage. But Bill Cosby,
hell yes, right there.
Was funny for very long, and even though I have my issues with him and I can't listen to him the way I used to, I cannot. If I told you that I didn't watch Bill Cosby himself and 49 growing up as an 11, 12, 13-year-old kid, if I told you I didn't laugh because of what I found out when I was an adult, I'd be lying. If I tell you that I don't laugh as much as I used to, that's true, and here's why. Because there's an album he made called "If You Have Those of You Who Have Children, You'll Understand." Now, I'm going to give it a bridge version. I told the story on the River Comics podcast. I'll give it a bridge version here. But Bill Cosby, on that album, starts telling a story about an interaction between him and his wife. And as I point this out to everybody, it's like Bill Cosby is the one telling the story. He can control the narrative if he wants to. His wife's not there, whatever. If he is seen if he's telling the story and making himself the villain, which he did, he can choose not to do that when the audience starts to turn on him, which they did. There's a clip on YouTube of this album, and if you listen, the audience starts to turn on him, and he keeps going. He doubles down, which you don't have to. You're telling a story. You don't have to be the villain. It's his kids. He's like, here's your daughters. I'm gonna make sure your daughters don't. He gives his daughters like protection, whatever, make sure they don't get in trouble. Then his wife, again, Bill Cosby's telling this story. So Bill Cosby, as his wife comes in and says, so are you going to talk to our son? And Bill says, why would I do that? And Bill Cosby's wife, according to Bill Cosby, says, because what if he goes out and tries to get a girl into some trouble? And Bill Cosby is saying to his wife, as he's telling the story, well, that's not the man's problem. And the audience audibly, if you listen, the audience is turning on him at this point. There are people who are booing him as he says that. Now, again, if I'm Bill Cosby, I don't double down on this story that involves my actual wife and actual children when the audience is turning on me, unless it's really, really funny or unless part of it is true or both. Anyway, Bill Cosby continued. He, as his wife says to him, okay, according to Bill Cosby, his wife said this, what is wrong with you? Why would you say that? And Bill Cosby says to his wife, according to Bill Cosby telling the story, well, if you're a girl, it's your job to keep the man from scoring on you. It's like a soccer goalie. And this got some laughs, but the audience was still, like, it's on YouTube, and it's there, and the audience is turning on Bill Cosby in his prime. And so Bill, his wife says to him, okay, if that's how you feel, then if our son goes out and gets a girl pregnant, you're going to be responsible for it. So why don't you go encourage your son to have big fun on a goal? Which is the biggest laugh the freaking bit got. And then at the moment where Bill Cosby realizes that he might be responsible for a kid that's not his, then he says, I'll go talk to my son. Bill Cosby outed himself as a chauvinistic piece of shit on his own album. The audience turned on him and he kept going. And at that point, I couldn't separate the art from the artist. Because you're literally bringing the freaking art, you're bringing the fucking shit we know about you into your art, and I can't.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
He did it on a talk show as well. I forget which one it was, but he did. I think it might have been Dave Letterman. I think it was Dave Letterman, but he did the Spanish Fly bit where he talked about drugging women and everybody was like, "Oh, Bill, you're so funny." And little did we know that's what he was doing.
And the gall on him to talk about scoring soccer goals when he was using performance-enhancing drugs.
And the thing is, like, the Spanish Fly bit is one thing, but like. That in itself, if you dismiss it as a bit and didn't know what you know now, like, people at the time could be like, oh, whatever. Bill Cosby is telling a full-fledged story that involves his actual children and his actual wife, and he's painting himself as the villain to his wife while the audience is turning on him and going with it. That's committing a little bit too much. It's at that point where I could, now, like before, I already had an issue listening to Bill, knowing what he was doing, but I'm like, there were still times where my father doesn't know, and good for him. Like, he watched the Bill Cosby show, he watched some specials, I would still chuckle it when I went, oh yeah, I remember that. But ever since I heard that, like, I get sick now. Because he was brazen enough to basically paint himself as not only a selective parent who is going to encourage this young man that it's okay to do whatever he wants to women as long as you don't have, as long as I'm not responsible. But when he's responsible, then he there's so much in that just makes And he's telling the story. Like, it's not a two-person thing where his wife is telling her side of the story. It's not a two-person act. He is controlling the narrative. And again, like, you get it? You get it?
Yeah.
You get it? I can go on all night about what's wrong with that, but that's where I'm like, no, fuck Bill Cosby. Fuck him. Great comic, obviously. But you know what? Being funny does not excuse encouraging your son to go out and force himself on women and then telling your wife to fuck off for being concerned about that while you're telling the story. Anyway, I see.
One of my favorite Bill Cosby quotes was from one of the trials where they were trying to deny him bail, I believe. I think the prosecution was saying, you know, we're concerned about Bill Cosby taking one of his we're concerned about Mr. Cosby taking a private jet and fleeing the country, and I think you can find the clip, but there's a clip of him going, "Mr. Cosby does not have a private jet, asshole." It's one of the funniest things ever. And I love it because he was America's dad for so long, and then he became like this demon. And then it all just culminated into him doing that. I love that. I love that line so much.
But now he's touring again. What
that is kind of a culmination moment. It started as a pound cake speech and it ends here. It's really incredible.
Yeah. Now he's back with his hello friend sweater and his milky eyes.
Seriously, goddamn.
But again, like comics. When I talk about how I feel about Bill Cosby, some comics who just think they're gonna open for him one day, so they won't speak a bad word about him. They think if I comment on the things that he's actually said and done, I somehow don't think he's funny. Which again, you can acknowledge that like, Hitler was a great painter. That's a fact. Does it excuse what the fuck else he did? No. But if I point out something that was factually true about somebody, it doesn't mean but again, that's a tribalism kind of thing. Because comics are very, if there's a comic that's really, really good and they're still alive and I might open for them, don't say anything about him. Don't know. He's great. They're like, no.
No, you got to one-punch kill Bill Cosby if you see him in person, unfortunately. I think if you don't do that, you're probably... He can't take more than one.
I admit, I'm more sensitive to those kinds of things because of where I've been when it comes to women. Again, you heard the podcast, you know that story. So I admit, I'm a bit more... I can't condone that. Because of what I've been through, then maybe people who haven't been what I've been through when it comes to women, maybe even if they don't agree with it, they can find their way around it. Like I don't think that I'm morally superior or better than anybody because I have no more time for Bill Cosby, but because of what I've been through and because of what I've suffered in my own life and because of what that moment in 1999 that basically built the foundation for how I've treated women ever since, I can't. If anybody can, good for them. I've never said Bill Cosby isn't funny, but for personal reasons, I just cannot. And now you know where I just could not anymore.
I like that whole idea of separating the art from the artist. For me, like I would never give Bill Cosby another cent of my money. But let's say I was in like a secondhand store and I saw a record of Bill Cosby, I would 100% buy it because he's not getting that money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I still want to enjoy it. I'm kind of a selfish bastard. I still want to enjoy it. As long as he's not getting it.
It's all about the nuance.
I thought he was going to say something like, I would never give him another ounce of my time. And he's like, no, if I can find a loophole to watching all of his shit, I'm going to fucking do it.
Here's the thing. When he was in jail and I thought he was going to die in jail, I used to tell people, dude, he was so funny, I would 100% go see him again. If he gets out of jail, I'll go see him. The second he got out, I went, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Wayne, got my ticket.
He did a show at Symphony Hall 5 minutes to the right of where I'm sitting right now. He can come back here again. Hey, Wayne, right over there.
Oh, man.
As a person who, again, we discussed it earlier, is a Michael Jackson tribute artist, depending on what people think or don't think, I'm not exactly in a position to fault other people for who they like or don't like. it's definitely more obvious what Bill Cosby did, whereas the murky surroundings of what Michael Jackson did. But you know what? Michael Jackson was a weird guy. Who knows? But still, because of where I come from, that's where I stand. There are other comics that have done less terrible things than Bill Cosby that, gray area. I can be like, yeah, you didn't kick a dog yet, so I can listen to you even if I wouldn't want to freaking shake your hand.
Yeah.
But Bill Cosby also one of those people that did notoriously clean comedy.
And he did a lot of good too.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the crazy thing.
And we're having this discussion about, how do you find light in a dark place and make it palatable for a general audience, when quite possibly the biggest heel turn of all time was the cleanest comedian in the world ended up being the dirtiest comedian off stage.
That was the biggest heel turn of all time. God damn. Where were you, Stone Cold? God damn.
The only bigger real life heel turn, I think, was Chloe Sullivan from Smallville, but that's a whole other story that we don't have time to get into.
We need Jock for that one, I think.
So disappointed.
All right, where are you going to be, Lloyd? Tell the peoples.
Oh, man. So, immediately, I'm going to be in Worcester at the Pint on Wednesday. I will be at Capital Restaurant on the 25th. I'm going to be in Auburn, Maine at the Great Falls Comedy Club on the 28th. I'm going to be in Dover, New Hampshire at Furries on the 30th. That's off the top of my head. I can be found online, if that's your thing, at Lloyd Legacy 617 on Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever the fuck, TikTok, and Lloyd Legacy Sharp on Facebook, where I pretty much have the rest of my schedule that it is too long and too late for me to recall off the top of my head. But yeah, this coming Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, I'm going to be in Worcester, and next Wednesday I'm going to be in South Boston, and then Auburn, Dover. Go to the websites. You'll get the details.
There you go, you
all.
little. Whoop, sorry, go in.
I was gonna say, I'll get it all. I'll go on your site and I'll get it all. I'll put it in the show notes. Try to get people to come out to see you, which they should.
And
there you go.
To the whole Michael Jackson tribute artist thing, I am going to be at Charlie's Tap House in New Hampshire on the 21st, doing that.
Bam.
Awesome.
So there you go, you pieces of shit out there. If you aren't ready to have your life run wild all over you by Lloyd Legacy Sharp, then where have you been, brother? Because it's another step in the Worthy Grounds for Life! Woo!
Yeah, now he's back with his Hello Friend sweater and his milky eyes.